Your position in this
Media relations.
media relations. Okay, can you tell us if Mark Yudof is in the building?
Of course he is.
He is in the building. Okay, so that was false information that they told us that he's not here yet. So he's in the building. Great. We would like to speak to him.
He's busy.
Do you know when the meeting will be over?
I can speak to you if you want information.
Do you know when the meeting will be over?
I think that there's some misunderstanding.
Well,
the November Regents meeting, there's no tuition action is on the agenda of the November Regents meeting.
Right, but they've proposed this $2.5 billion cuts for discussion, right? And the fee increases?
Well, didn't he introduce 81% potential tuition increases for the next 4 years, 60% each year?
That was discussed at the last Regents meeting. It was a framework as a basis. We're talking with the state about getting the state to commit to multi-year funding rather than continuing to cut us the way that they have, so that we could plan better and so.
But why don't you publicly and actively support increasing taxes on California's wealthiest and corporations and Wall Street so that you can make up for that budget crisis and not break the backs of students and workers?
Well, certainly the University of California, both the staff and the administration have been trying to get the state to reinvest in higher education. I think that you all know that there have been deep cuts in state funding. It's $1 billion down from what it was maybe 12 years ago. There are basically two primary sources of funding for educational costs: state funding and tuition. So, yeah, we're doing everything that we can to get the state to reverse disinvestment in higher education.
But there's a lot of money in the pot. I mean, it's just not being distributed, right? I mean, 1% of the population owns 40% of the wealth. So why is there this 81% tuition increase being even discussed? Why is that a matter of discussion? Why aren't the regents, who are supposed to have our back?
And they're all CEO executives.
Yeah, so
how much are their
bonuses? Yeah, what are the salaries?
So look at it this way. 40% of all UC students come from families making $50,000 or less. Their tuition is entirely covered.
No, it
isn't.
No, it isn't. Mine isn't.
We have financial.
No, it isn't. 12,000 exactly.
Okay.
Thank you.
Here,
Tell him that that's not true. That's a myth that they're saying.
11,000. Exactly.
Well, okay.
$3,000.
So you should be contacting.
Oh, we do. We have. It's all of us. It's not just one person. It's all of us. So
It's 40% of UC students are getting federal Pell Grants.
it's not enough.
There's a blue and gold opportunity plan.
It doesn't cover. It doesn't. It doesn't.
$1,600 a month. You know how much I had? $300.
It covers tuition.
Says you.
Absolutely.
Covers our tuition. No, it doesn't.
If it covers tuition, why do you think so many students are so angry?
Why do you think so many students are tens of thousands of dollars?
We have homeless students right now. Actually, myself. What do you say to that? Because I can't pay for tuition.
Well,
And you don't. What you're saying is a lie. It's not true. It doesn't cover it.
You know what I'm saying is this: that the attention should be focused on Sacramento, which has been doing the funding cuts.
If they give you more money, you're just going to take the money for yourself and not give it to us.
We can agree that the state is the ultimate problem because they are cutting the budget. So would Mark Yudof be willing to march with us on November 9th, since we are clearly on the same page? Because November 9th, we're aiming action at the state. If we're in the same page, will you guys join us and march with us?
I'd have to know more about what's happening on November 9th.
November 9th, we are having a day of action. Every UC is having it, demanding higher taxes on the wealthy, demanding no more cuts to education. That's as simple as our demands get. And it seems like they're right in line with UCOP's.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, as
so
far as demanding higher taxes, that's a federal. You're talking about a federal issue, right?
right, but why won't you publicly export that? If you're supposed to be the president, if you guys are supposed to be the leaders of our community.
Yeah.
Sir, actually, I'm sorry.
Our role has to do with the University of California, which is the 10 campuses, 5 medical centers, agriculture and natural resources.
Why are you downplaying
The University of California Student Association has endorsed reforming Proposition 13 to reform the corporate property tax. Now you guys represent the university. The students have decided that Prop 13 needs to be changed. Will you guys publicly endorse that movement? since that relates to the university.
I don't speak for the region, so I'm endorsing anything. So
What was your name, Mr.
Montiel?
You seem to have some of your facts not straight, so we're going to demystify some of that for you. So this is the myth. Student fees are going up because the state has cut education funding. This is the truth. The state has cut some education funding, but in 2010, Schwarzenegger gave back $370 million to the UC. Even after this return, when the UC regents knew that they would see no more cuts in state funding, they still raised our fees. Moreover, fee hikes more than compensate for budget cuts. Here's another one for you.
Okay, give me a chance on that. $370 million was restoration of some temporary one-time cuts that were made the year before. What's not taken into account in those mathematics is, in addition to the cuts, the state has not funded what are called mandatory increases, which have to do with year-to-year increases, utilities, salaries from labor contracts, contributions to pension. The state does not contribute to pension of UC employees.
Why aren't you demanding that the state do that?
We are demanding.
You are demanding.
We do it in different ways.
So then what is this proposed
We do it in
cut?
different ways than
I'm sorry, but you're saying on the one hand that you're demanding that the state increase this funding, and then on the other hand you're proposing budget cuts that are basically cutting essential services. You're proposing this 4-year tuition increase, which is really basically making people go into debt slavery even more than they already are.
There's been no 4-year tuition increase proposed.
No, the proposal.
Tuition has gone up
No, it was not a proposal. So I mean, I just want you to understand that what was discussed at the last Regents meeting was a framework that was to be used in negotiating with the state to get the state to commit to multi-year funding and to some stable and predictable level of funding. So that there was a framework that was just put out there for discussion. It had been discussed before, and there was no tuition proposal on the agenda for the November meeting. I just want you to know that.
Did you know that over the past decade, tuition has increased 300%? Did you know that?
Well, do you know how much state funding has decreased in the past decade? 50%.
Yeah.
So then my tuition going up
So,
300.
And how much UDOT's salary has gone up?
How much is UW's salary?
okay, his salary has not gone up since he was brought on.
But what is it?
His salary is $600,000 a year.
For doing what? Letting his students get prosecuted in Irvine?
So question. So the state has cut back, and so your solution
So the
is
state,
to the state has stopped giving funding to the UCs.
Yeah, state,
So
it's still giving funding, but it's
But
giving
not
at the
as
same
much.
level it was in the late 1990s when there were 75,000 fewer students.
So your
our-
solution is to cut the budget and increase our tuition rather than cutting the $600,000 that the UC Regents make every year.
No, the regents are unpaid volunteers. So the regents
Well,
get,
let's clarify that.
they're,
They
yeah,
are
the
all CEO executives who make multi-millions of dollars, and they donate to the governor, and the governor
democracy
puts them in
in
the position, right?
so the regents
ties to Wall Street.
the regents are unpaid. The regents are unpaid.
According to the
They're unpaid
Constitution,
volunteers.
you're not allowed to pay.
Appointed.
According to the Constitution, since this school is run by the government, you're not allowed to charge tuition. So you call them education fees. It's really reached a point where you're using the UCs to make money, and that's not
When you
right.
say to make money, we've got the quality of education.
It's gone down.
Gone down.
It has ridiculously
Okay.
gone down. Every
How-
biotech company in the area will not hire a UCSD student because the amount of education that they've received is disappointing and dismal since the classes are too big, there are too few professors, there are too few classes, and
So-
everything has
so-
just
We
Our
used to be
departments
number
are
one
getting.
in the world
Yeah,
when it was free.
of the
Used to
top
be
rated
free.
universities in the world, 6 of UC campuses
and
are
it's
in the top
gone
50.
down.
Who can afford
So
it?
it's there's a ranking of the Washington Monthly of universities.
Well, I'm a
that-
student and I'm
that
telling you.
actually are doing something for the public good, and the top 3 schools are UC schools.
So you take
But
it
which
Are-
public? You're bringing in students from other states and other countries because they pay more. What about the students here that need access to that education?
Exactly.
So there's no